What if time could stop in just one moment? What if a whole city disappeared in only one day? This is the story of Pompeii, a Roman city frozen in time. In the shadow of a deceptively peaceful mountain, nestled in the fertile plains of Campania, lay a city teeming with life, a vibrant hub of Roman commerce and culture. Its cobbled streets echoed with the clamor of merchants, the chatter of citizens, and the rumble of chariot wheels. Lavish villas adorned with intricate frescoes and breathtaking mosaics hinted at the wealth of its inhabitants, while bustling taverns and grand amphitheaters spoke of a society that embraced both work and pleasure with equal gusto. This city was Pompeii, a jewel of the Roman Empire, blissfully unaware that the very mountain that nourished its soil would soon become its tomb. This is the story of a city frozen in time, a tale of its vibrant life, its catastrophic end, and its astonishing rebirth as a window into the ancient world. From Oscan settlement to Roman resort, the origins of Pompeii stretch back long before it became a Roman stronghold. Founded around the 8th or 9th century BC by the Oscans, an ancient Italic people, the settlement occupied a strategic position on a volcanic plateau at the mouth of the Sarno River. This prime location, overlooking the Bay of Naples, made it a natural crossroads for trade and a desirable prize for the expanding powers of the ancient world. Over the centuries, Pompeii absorbed a rich tapestry of cultural influences. The Greeks, who had established powerful colonies nearby, left their mark on the city's religion, art, and urban planning. The enigmatic Etruscans also held sway for a time, followed by the formidable Samnites, under whom Pompeii grew significantly. It was during the Samnite period that many of the city's foundational structures, including parts of its defensive walls and the initial layout of its public spaces, were established. The relentless expansion of Rome eventually brought Pompeii into its orbit. After a series of bitter conflicts, the city, like the rest of Campania, fell under Roman dominion in the 3rd century BC. Initially, it was granted the status of an associate, which allowed it a degree of autonomy. However, following the social war in the early 1st century BC, Pompeii was fully incorporated into the Roman state, becoming a Roman colony. Under Roman rule, Pompeii flourished. It became a bustling commercial center, exporting agricultural products like wine and olive oil, which were cultivated in the fertile volcanic soil, to markets as far away as Spain and Provence. The city's port was a hive of activity, a vital link in the maritime trade network of the Mediterranean. Pompeii also became a popular resort for wealthy Romans, who were drawn to its pleasant climate and stunning natural beauty. They built magnificent villas on the outskirts of the city, adorned with lush gardens, private baths, and exquisite works of art. The city itself was a showcase of Roman engineering and architecture, with a grand forum, temples dedicated to the Roman gods, theaters for dramatic performances, and a massive amphitheater capable of holding thousands of spectators. A day in the life of a Pompeian. Thanks to the remarkable state of preservation in which Pompeii was found, we can reconstruct the daily lives of its inhabitants with astonishing clarity. Life in Pompeii began early, dictated by the rising of the sun. Citizens would fetch water from public fountains, and the aroma of freshly baked bread would waft from the numerous bakeries scattered throughout the city. The Forum was the heart of public life. Here, citizens would gather to conduct business, discuss politics, and worship at the temples of Jupiter, Apollo, and other deities. The covered market, or Macellum, was a sensory delight, filled with the sights and smells of fresh produce, fish, and exotic spices. The streets of Pompeii were a vibrant and often chaotic mix of pedestrians, carts, and animals. Raised paving stones allowed people to cross the streets without soiling their feet, a necessity in a city that lacked a sophisticated sewage system. Shops and workshops of every kind lined the main thoroughfares, their owners advertising their wares with colorful signs and inscriptions. We know of bakers, weavers, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, and even scriptors, who painted public notices and election slogans on the city's walls. The homes of the Pompeians ranged from humble one-room apartments to sprawling villas organized around a central atrium. The wealthy adorned their homes with elaborate frescoes depicting scenes from mythology, nature, and daily life. Many houses had a small shrine, or lararium, where the family would make daily offerings to the household gods. The afternoons were often reserved for leisure. The public baths were a popular destination, not just for bathing, but also for socializing, exercising, and conducting business. Pompeians were also avid fans of public entertainment. The city's two theaters hosted a variety of plays, while the amphitheater was the scene of gladiatorial contests and wild animal hunts, spectacles that drew huge crowds from Pompeii and the surrounding countryside. The social structure of Pompeii was a microcosm of the Roman world. At the top were the wealthy elite, who owned land and businesses and dominated the city's political life. Below them were the freedmen, former slaves who had gained their freedom and often became successful entrepreneurs in their own right. At the bottom of the social ladder were the slaves, who made up a significant portion of the population and performed a wide range of tasks, from domestic service to manual labor. The fury of Vesuvius. For centuries, Mount Vesuvius had been a silent and seemingly benign presence, its slopes covered with vineyards and olive groves. Few, if any, of the inhabitants of Pompeii knew that it was a dormant volcano. In 62 AD, a severe earthquake rocked the region, causing widespread damage to Pompeii and other nearby towns. This was a clear warning sign of the geological instability of the area, but the Pompeians, a resilient and industrious people, immediately began the process of rebuilding their city. 17 years later, in the late summer or autumn of 79 AD, the mountain finally awoke from its long slumber. The eruption, which is believed to have lasted for 2 days, was a cataclysm of unimaginable proportions. The Roman author and administrator, Pliny the Younger, witnessed the event from a distance and described it in 2 letters to the historian Tacitus, providing a valuable first-hand account of the disaster. The eruption began with a massive explosion that sent a towering column of ash, pumice, and gas high into the stratosphere. As the prevailing winds carried the cloud over Pompeii, the city was plunged into darkness. A rain of small, light pumice stones began to fall, accumulating at a rate of several inches per hour. For many, this was a terrifying but not necessarily fatal event. Some fled the city, while others sought shelter in their homes, hoping to wait out the storm. As the hours passed, the weight of the falling pumice began to cause roofs to collapse, trapping and killing many of those who had remained behind. But the worst was yet to come. In the early hours of the following day, the eruptive column collapsed, sending a series of pyroclastic surges, fast-moving, superheated clouds of gas, ash, and rock, hurtling down the slopes of Vesuvius. These surges were unstoppable and utterly lethal. They swept through Pompeii at incredible speed, incinerating everything in their path and killing anyone who had survived the initial stages of the eruption. The intense heat and toxic gases would have caused instantaneous death. In a matter of hours, the once thriving city of Pompeii was buried under a thick blanket of volcanic material, its name and location all but erased from memory. The lost city rediscovered. For over 1,500 years, Pompeii lay hidden and forgotten, its existence known only through the accounts of ancient writers like Pliny the Younger. In the late 16th century, the architect Domenico Fontana discovered some of the city's ruins while digging a canal, but it was not until the mid-18th century that systematic excavations began. The early excavations were often haphazard affairs, driven more by a desire to find treasure for the collections of European royalty than by a genuine interest in scientific inquiry. However, the discovery of remarkably well-preserved buildings, frescoes, and everyday objects caused a sensation across Europe, sparking a renewed interest in the classical world and giving birth to the modern science of archaeology. A major breakthrough in the excavation of Pompeii came in the 1860s, under the direction of the Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli. He introduced a more methodical approach to the excavations, dividing the city into regions and systematically documenting the finds. But his most ingenious and famous contribution was the development of a technique for creating plaster casts of the victims of the eruption. Fiorelli realized that the bodies of the dead had decomposed over the centuries, leaving behind hollow voids in the hardened ash. By carefully pouring liquid plaster into these cavities, he was able to create detailed and poignant casts of the victims at the moment of their death. These casts, which capture the final, desperate moments of men, women, children, and even animals, are a powerful and haunting reminder of the human tragedy of Pompeii. Pompeii today, a legacy in stone and ash. The excavations at Pompeii have continued to the present day, revealing an ever more detailed picture of life in a Roman city. Archaeologists have uncovered grand public buildings, luxurious villas, humble homes, shops, taverns, and even a brothel. They have found the tools of artisans, the jewelry of the wealthy, the toys of children, and the carbonized remains of loaves of bread, still in the ovens where they were being baked when the eruption struck. Today, Pompeii is one of the world's most popular tourist destinations, attracting millions of visitors each year. Walking through its ancient streets is a surreal and deeply moving experience, a journey back in time to a world that is both familiar and strangely alien. It is a place where the past feels palpably present, where the echoes of a lost civilization can still be heard in the silent stones. The story of Pompeii is a timeless and universal one. It is a story of life and death, of creation and destruction, of the fragility of human existence in the face of the overwhelming power of nature. But it is also a story of resilience and rediscovery, a testament to the enduring power of the past to captivate and enlighten the present. The lost Roman city, once buried in ash and forgotten by time, has been reborn as an invaluable treasure, a precious and irreplaceable legacy for all of humanity. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments about this fascinating story.